everybody, welcome to A Dad, a Son, and a Game. I am Luke, the son.
And I'm Joel, the dad. And today we're taking a look at Forbidden Desert. Forbidden Desert. Hey everybody, it's Joel with the Boardgame Mechanics, and I brought back somebody who used to do videos with me forever ago. This is my son, Luke.
Hello.
So if you want to see videos of him and I, when I had less wrinkly eyes and he was like 8 years old, there's a link to the channel in the description here where he and I used to do board game reviews. And I don't know, what we do now is better, but it was fun at the time, for sure.
I sat on a bucket.
Yeah, he used to sit on a bucket. Now he's taller than me. So, at any rate, we're going to take a look at Aeon's End Legacy. We're going to try to do as little as we can to spoil the game, but also try and be comprehensive. Can we do that? I don't know. We'll find out. But let's get to the table now. All right, so this big box here is full of just goodness, and I want to go through it all with you guys, and I want to show all the cool things that we've discovered throughout the course of playing this game. But I feel that that's going to be something that you need to do for yourself, because a big part of the enjoyment of this game, at least for me, was opening all these little pouches, adding all these stickers to different things, doing all the things that make the game different and evolve. And it really is a lot of fun. It feels like you're going on a journey. So I'm spoiling this review a little bit, saying that I had a lot of fun with it, and I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. And I don't know this review is necessarily going to do it justice, because I don't want to spoil this game for you guys. So I'm going to just show you guys the first game setup, though, and maybe that'll be enough to get you guys at least a flavor for the game, and we can go from there. Okay, so the first game setup sheet comes in there, and this is what you're going to follow. You're basically going to have people take one of these character sheets, which are almost blank at the beginning of the game, and get 10 hit points of life. You're also going to start off with these 9 stacks of cards. You're going to have 4 spells, 2 relics, and then 3 types of gems that are basically used for like getting magic to happen for you. So the way how I think about it, I compare every deck builder to Dominion. It's just something ingrained in my DNA. This is your currency, and these are kind of your ability cards. And these are going to be, the kind of cool thing is if you look here, you have these breaches, they call them. And so you're staging your spells for the next turn. So in Open Breach 2, at the beginning of the game, you don't quite understand the importance of that. As the game develops, without any spoilers, it does matter. But in Open Breach, you don't have to cast your spell right away from. Other breaches you can use, just they are going to fire off. You can't hold the spells off so long. So the player setup is you're going to have some decks of cards that you can purchase, more cards for your deck. It's a deck builder. And then you're going to have a staging area and a character, which is pretty well blank at the beginning. But even then, I'm not spoiling anything. It says these areas are going to fill up with different things. I won't tell you what they are, but it was really neat. Like, I had no clue on a couple of the things. So, really neat to see those things go in there, though, and develop this game. So, that was really cool. It does tell you what your starting hand is and your starting deck. So, that's something that is a little confusing. You do want to start with a starting deck and then also a starting hand. You never shuffle cards in this game. That's kind of a unique piece in this game as well. But you start off with some sparks, which are really weak spells that do 1 damage, and some crystals, which are really weak currency. And you're going to have those in the game for a very long time, and those eventually are going to be the things that you try and, get out of your deck. The first one that you play against, the first bad guy you play against, you're going to read some introductory cards. There's going to be some setup for that. There's going to be a few dials you're going to use. And the Maelstrom is what I think it's called. And it's huge, and it's tough, and you're going to have fun playing it because you have this assist stack, which is going to be another neat narrative thing that happens in this game in the first gameplay. The thing that I want to talk about before, I can't really talk much about this game, and it kills me, but I will say this real quick about this game before I wrap up what we're doing here, is that there's this turn order deck. So you're going to write your character's name on one of these cards, you're going to have a deck of cards, and then turn order is going to be random based on these cards shuffled up. So you don't know exactly when the bad guy's going to attack. Sometimes it makes things really, really hard because the bad dude hits you 2 times in a row right off the beginning. Sometimes you get to hit him a bunch of times and really beat him down before he comes back and attacks you again. So it's really interesting. That turn order deck is super cool and actually adds to the game quite a bit. So that's just a rough overview, I guess, of the game. I'm going to actually get back into the studio with Luke, and we're going to just tell you guys what we thought about the playthrough. We're not going to spoil anything, but we are going to talk about maybe how the game changed and how it felt better as we played. But let's get back in the studio and we'll do that now. All right, Luke, so that was me trying to explain the game without ruining it, and I don't know if I was able to do that or not. I know I didn't spoil it, but I don't know if I gave much of a description of the game to people. But I really do like this game. I don't know, why don't you start off? What do you think is strong about this game?
Some things I think the game does well is it has an actually good story, which isn't something you see in board games often, I think. And it also does a good job of building up from a very basic deck builder game and getting more and more advanced through the series of games you play.
Yeah, I think for sure, like what you said is true. Like there's a good story there, and like it kind of tells you some of the Aeons in, like maybe the lore of the universe a little bit, which is kind of cool. And then like it ramps up. It starts off as a real basic deck builder, and then it turns into a pretty good deck builder over the course of the game. So I'm not a huge deck builder fan, but I like this one quite a bit. I might even go as far as to say this might be my favorite deck builder right now at the moment. I can't think of one that I like better than it at the moment.
I don't remember any other deck builders, so it is by default.
I burned him out on board games pretty bad, and now he is resistant, we'll call it. So, Dominion.
Vaguely. I mean, it beats Dominion in my book.
Wow, and you own Dominion, like personally.
I do.
That's wild.
But at the same time, Dominion's one of those games you just have to own if you have a collection, you know? Yeah, Dominion. I don't see it.
It's off camera. I don't own it. This game, I don't love deck building, and this game's actually really good. So that's where I'm at with it. I do like some deck builders, but this one's, I don't know. For like the stacks of cards going out kind of deck builder, it's really good. And I think the other thing I really like about it too, without spoiling the game, is that staging your spells so they fire off next round, or you can use them like for an ongoing ability kind of thing almost. That's really cool too. I think that's a nice addition to this game. So I do like that quite a bit. So like my strengths do match yours, that the game ramps up, the legacy parts work in this game really well. I usually don't like legacy games too, to be honest. So the legacy stuff definitely works in this game. Like it makes it add to the game, and I think it I don't know, it makes it a better game that it's a legacy game. Usually the legacy stuff feels a little tacked on to me, and it's like, do we need this? And then the legacy stuff too usually gets so complicated that it makes it really hard. Like the game changes enough that you're like, okay, wait, how do I play this game again? Now, with this game, I feel like it evolved, but it didn't really change the game. It added to it, but it didn't really change it much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so like the core principles of the game remain the same, but there are things on top of the core game that make it fresh and also just kind of keep it interesting for you.
Yeah, so okay, like what do you think about the game? Any more positives or any more negatives?
First game can feel a little bit bland, for lack of a better term, but I think that might be to work as an introduction to even deck building as a whole.
Yeah, I think for sure the first time you play, it's a tutorial, and it's pretty boring. And so actually, like if you saw our cards in our game, they're written over like a second time, because I started this game with someone else, with a different group, and they were so like skeptical of it. They were like, I'm not sure if I want to spend my time playing this game. And so I had Luke play it with me, and like I think he's glad he played it with me, because it evolves and becomes a really good game. If it was always the first game, it wouldn't be that great. But it's like the game was a 5 out of 10 the first time I played it. Like it was just blah. And then it became like a 6.5, and then maybe a 7.5, and then an 8. You know, it keeps going up. So it definitely evolved into a better game for sure. So that's not necessarily a weakness, but that's a like be aware of it kind of thing. Yeah, I don't really have anything else on the weaknesses or strengths on that. I think that's about it. The components are really good in it. So let's talk about components, I guess, next. What would you give the components in this game?
Like a 5 out of 5?
Yeah.
I'd probably give it between a 4 and 5 out of 5. The cards are really sturdily built. There was one misprinting of a sticker where it was the wrong way, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, like it's cut wrong.
But aside from that, like there are just a lot of small things that go into the components that really contribute to the overall game.
Yeah, no, I think it's really well done, honestly. I think the art is pretty good. It's engaging. The cards are nice and thick. It's a pretty good game. Now, I don't know. Theme-wise, this does have some like magic stuff in it. It has some intense beasts in it. So this is one that like maybe young children wouldn't be good to play. It might give them nightmares or something. But I think if you're reading age where you could read and understand the cards, like you could play this game. I do know there's like some people who have beliefs that are strong against magic and fantasy stuff. They might not like the theme on this game. The other thing too is the theme of the fantasy stuff. If you're tired of that theme, it's definitely present. It's a fantasy type game. But I think other than that, the audience for this game is going to be pretty broad based on theme.
Well, and then the thing I mentioned before about the first game you play of this working as an introduction to deck building as a whole, I feel like that definitely would apply and could even help you introduce non-gamers into this game. And then I think the other thing too, yes, this is a fantasy game. Yes, that theme is done a lot in board gaming. However, it definitely has its own take on things in a sense. Like it has its own universe, and everything seems really consistent within the universe. Yeah,
it's not like the WotC D&D universe. It's its own thing, for sure. So I think the theme is good for almost anybody. The weight of the game, I think you just called it like kind of almost a gateway game. Like you could teach non-gamers how to play deck building and do this kind of game based on how it ramps up. I agree. Like I think this game's accessible to anybody who wants to play it.
Now, would that mean that the game is a gateway game at, say, the 5th game you play just right off the bat? Definitely not. But the way it implements mechanics as you go on, I think, could make it function as a gateway game.
Yeah, because it's so simple to start. And then you just add this little thing, and then add this little thing. So that's not spoiling it, I don't think. But it gets more complicated as you go, for sure. So we've looked at who this game's for. I think it's for about anybody who can read, like could play this game. The theme's for about anybody as well who doesn't mind fantasy stuff. The components and art, we said, I'm going to say it's a 4.5 out of 5. Is that what you gave it to, kind of?
Yeah.
So the replayability in this game, I'm going to give a really strong mark. I'm going to call this one I'm going to call it a 5 out of 5. Because I didn't feel like the game got old while we were playing the legacy part of it. And that's like around 10 plays. And then I also feel like the game in its ended state is playable still. And something that I think you'll want to play. Like if I said let's play a game, you'd probably pick this one to play. Not all the time, but some.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the replayability in this game is going to be pretty strong. I'm going to give it the 5 out of 5. The fun on this game, I'm going to give it like a 4.5 out of 5. I had a lot of fun playing it. Like the legacy aspects of it made it a 5 out of 5, but I think in its finished state, it'll be like a 4 out of 5. So I'm giving it the 4.5 out of 5. So the opening packages, tearing things open, and like putting them into the game was really fun. And that made it a 5 out of 5 for sure for me. The finished game, 4 out of 5 probably, but overall I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. And if you want the experience of the legacy game, if you're buying it for a legacy game thing, it's a 5 out of 5 fun.
I don't know if you necessarily want my opinion on this, but I would give it a 5 out of 5 on fun, honestly. Like, really? I feel like the game does itself well enough, and every character kind of can fill its own niche. Like, there's a thing that I would probably qualify as a spoiler, so I'm not going to say it, but you do fit a certain role in the game. You customize your character over the course of the game, and there's decisions you can make to almost have a class, which I think is really cool. All right, so overall, I'm going to give this game a 4.5 out of 5. What are you giving it? 4.5 to 5, depending on my mood on the day. Yeah. I would say it's a 4.5 out of 5, personally, because I think there's, a 5 game is a perfect game that I'll play anytime, anywhere. This one I would play about anywhere, anytime, but I think there's probably times where I'd be like, maybe not. So that's why I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5, but the experience of playing through the Legacy game was really good. So overall, I really do suggest it. I think this is my number one pick for Legacy games. So I think this is my favorite Legacy game, including Charterstone, including the Pandemic stuff, including Gloomhaven. I think this is a better campaign-type game than Gloomhaven to me because the pacing is so much faster. This is a 10-hour game, not a 1,000-hour game, and I like that. So, what about you? I definitely have to agree with you on the whole Gloomhaven being 1,000 hours and this being 10 hours. I mean, that's obviously personal, but I honestly got a little bit bored with Gloomhaven. Just it didn't move fast enough for my personal interest to be gained. Yeah. Yeah, it took forever it took a lot of multiple hour plays to get your goals met and to change your character. And to get new equipment and things like that. So this one goes much quicker, but you're not going to get near as many hours out of it. And this game, I think, retails for around $80. So whereas Gloomhaven's $150. So I mean, it's still going to be a lot less
hours for money, like the ratio of hours to money spent, Gloomhaven kills it. But I think it's really fun. There's a lot of fun in this game. So, and I think you'll get a lot of plays out of this game. So, overall, really liked it. I think it's suggested for people who want to play a legacy game and like deck building. I would suggest this to like probably 85-90% of people who fall in that category. I think you'll have a good time. And if you care enough about this game that you're watching this part of the video, it's probably for you. I think it's worth the jump. So, I've been Joel with the Board Game Mechanics, and keep gaming.
See ya.
Anyway, goodbye. This is the goofiest, longest episode ever. See ya.
You